Hello, welcome to Podcast versus Player. We have got a big, fat, juicy spoiler cast, Dan, and I'm going to let you tell everyone what we're going to be talking about.
Hello.
Oh, there's a bit of an echo there.
Oh, wow. Well, great segue. We happen to be talking about the brand new Marvel series Echo, which debuted last week, and it dropped all 5 episodes, annoyingly short episodes, quite frankly, but they dropped them all in one big go last week. Callum, have you watched them all?
I have watched every single one.
Good.
Which pays well to this spoiler cast, otherwise it'd be a really, really short one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched all 5, obviously, as of you.
Yes.
And we'll just do what we always do, Dan. What do you think?
Mid.
Now, I didn't make any notes per se, but I had something that I definitely wanted to say. Is there's 2 good things that I really liked about this.
Okay.
Kingpin and Daredevil were in it. Spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yep.
Kingpin and Daredevil was in it, and it made me watch Daredevil again. they're my positives.
Okay.
I did not like it.
I did like it. However, those things that you've mentioned, I've also read when there's like a trailer on Instagram or something like that from Marvel saying like, oh, all of Echo's up now, or whatever. And every time I've looked at the comments, it's always people saying, oh, there's not enough Daredevil. Oh, Kingpin's barely in it. Oh, Daredevil's in it for like 30 seconds. Right, one, it's not a Daredevil show, so shut up.
No.
But no one, including just you, no one's mentioned the fact Ronin's in it.
Well, not really. It's just a clip from Hawkeye.
Yeah, but the fact that it's still sort of like, oh, this is still, they're still trying to maintain the link between what happened in Hawkeye, and then sort of playing it into this show. But there's a few things that I do like. I think the fighting for the most part is pretty decent. Like the first episode is kind of great.
I didn't think the choreography was very good.
I think the Daredevil stuff was great. Like when she's fighting him, and like he does a great little move where he sort of like does like a back lunge like through a shelf,
and
then like throws his club and smacks her in the face when she's about to pull a shotgun on him or whatever. There's a bunch of stuff like that which I thought was kind of cool. I like the kind of the grandfather character, like the guy who works in the shop who builds an incredibly insane 3D robot leg. Of course you did, pal. Yeah. I think he like as an act, like when he like when he's got the white people that come into his shop and he's like, buy a damn thing, buy the damn thing. Like there's all that sort of stuff, which is kind of great.
It was really funny.
Yeah. But then there's like a bunch of superfluous characters that I just didn't really care about. Biscuit, don't care about you, son. Sorry. Like you just.
Do we know if he's from the comic? Because I'll be honest, I don't. I know very little about. I've done some research into Echo.
Yeah.
But Biscuits, I forgot to see if that's just a made-for-TV show character.
I don't know, but I have a feeling that if he is in the comics, this is not a character that should have been pulled in from it. And if it's one that they've made up, it's kind of just cool to have like a, it's someone else who recognises her. And I like that. I like the slightly extensive use of sign language. Great. There wasn't really a huge amount of like stuff from her point of view where like she's fighting and everything's silent and she's like looking at visual cues and shadows. That. I think that it makes it a lot cooler, frankly.
Because you had it where it would like dip in between.
Yeah, which is that's okay, but
I think it'd be stronger with oh my god, I forgot, what was the Predator movie, the girl Prey, how they similar to that where there's like absolutely zero talking in it,
but it's all in
for the most part. This is what I mean. There's a lot of scenes where obviously she's on her own, so she ain't gonna be talking anyway, but it makes it a little bit more powerful and it forces you to pay attention.
Absolutely.
And I think having something like this, I think that would have benefited from. And some of the performances are quite wooden as well. So if she can't hear them and we can't hear them, I'm all for that. But there's a person in it, Dan, who plays her. Oh my God, I forgot his name. The guy who owns the roller rink, Henry.
Yes, Uncle. Henry, yeah.
He is out of Twilight.
Really?
He's one of the werewolves.
No way.
And I was like, he looks really familiar. And then for the life of me, I can't remember what film it was that I said he was from.
Yeah.
And then I Googled it and went, oh, no, it's not who I thought it was, but I have seen Twilight. So, but there was a lot of stuff that I don't know. It wasn't shit, but it wasn't great. And
it felt rushed in the sense of they wanted to get this out there. And the fact that there's only 5 episodes, and again, those weren't even hour episodes. That some of them were 50 minutes, some of them were about 37 minutes. But that's with a minute intro and a 4-minute outro or whatever. So we're not talking huge amounts of time here. But then, like the sort of she goes on like a little mission to like blow up like an armory. I like that like bait and switch where she like goes in there into the train, and she plants a bomb rather than just nick something.
Yeah.
Like the Welsh geezer, don't know. I don't recognise him. I don't know if he's supposed to be someone from the comics. I really don't know.
The Welsh one. Oh, the one from that sits on top of the caravan.
Yeah. He pulls an RPG at the end.
Yeah. Did you think the same thing? Is when Henry goes shoot, like when he's lying in the shop? Did you think he was going to shoot the rocket?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, I did.
No, I mean that would have been great, but it would have killed about 4 people.
I will say though that that scene when he shoots him, obviously he fires the RPG as he falls off the caravan, and then the people are on about the fireworks and stuff. It just reminded me of one of the Leslie Nielsen films, and I can't remember if it's Naked Gun or Police Academy or whatever. Police Squad, sorry. But it's when the guy goes through the window of the car, and then it like goes into the thing, and then Leslie Nielsen says, like, right, everyone back away, there's nothing to see here. But when the camera goes behind him, it's like a fireworks factory, so all the fireworks are going on.
Yeah, I think
just reminded me of that.
Yeah. But I think there's the one part of it that I really can't really wrap my head around. Like, firstly, I like the fact that she's not a good person, and she's not like, oh, she's just like Daredevil, but she's she can't hear rather than she can't see. She's like, no, she's a murderer. She's a criminal, and she wants to be the new Kingpin.
Yeah,
or Queenpin. And there's one thing I don't understand, and there's one thing that I felt could have had 3 episodes explaining it. One of which is that she shot Kingpin in the face, and yet when we see him, he's got a bit of a scar around his eye. Now, she's a qualified, degree-holding assassin, killer, murderer by that point. How do you fuck up shooting someone in the face that's not moving that badly? Because it looks like his eye, it's not like a robotic eye from what I can tell, it's just his normal eye, which means that from the looks of it, she shot like into his eye socket bone, like on the left-hand side of his skull. And it was an injury, but it didn't blind him, and it didn't blow his brains out.
What I read, because again, I'm not very up to spec with Echo, the character, so I did a bit of research, and in the comics, her and Daredevil get it on.
Nice.
Her and Matt Murdock get it on, and then Kingpin reels a load of lies to her basically, and sends her out after to kill Daredevil. Obviously, she unmasks him, realizes it's Matt. He convinces her that Kingpin's telling lies, blah, 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 blah. And then this is what happens. And she shoots him, tries to kill him, but it goes through his eye. And then he goes for extensive eye, like reconstructive surgery. So I can only assume that's very loosely what's happened here. They just never explain it.
Potentially so,
but
they
that's
haven't
also
said.
Me researching it after the fact.
Yeah, but that's not like, oh, he's got a prosthetic eye now, or he's got a super cyber eye, he's got a Stark Industries eye, or whatever. It looks like she tried to shoot him in the eye and missed.
Yeah,
and then didn't
assumed he was
tap.
dead.
Yeah, crazy. And the other thing is that I think should have had like another 3 episodes about it, is the fact that she can do magic. Or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, she can, like, heal, but then she can also, like, remote control her grandma and her mate, like, Sense8 style. So she could just puppet them. And then they go, oh, cool. What?
Well,
sorry, when was it established that you could do that? Like, the healing thing. Yeah, we saw a bit of that in sort of, like, a flashback 5 minutes beforehand. Yeah. And, you know, you saw her mother, like, heal a bird. Cool, okay, that's some... Again, not really explaining what this is, other than it's just sort of like, you know, ancient Native American nature magic or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and then she's seen that, but it's not as if you saw that at the start and she was trying to piece together what this was and how it worked, and you know, trying to discover what this is and what she could do with it. And it made me think, because like the grandmother, who, you know, she also had this sort of like these spiral things in her hand. So clearly this sort of thing. This heritage thing has come from her side of the family. You know, the grandmother had it, the mother had it, and now she's got it. So that means that when she was in a car accident and a massive piece of glass went through her leg, her grandma didn't just step in and heal the fuck out of her. Yeah. She went, no, take the leg off. Well, no, the mum was dead.
Was she dead, or did she die at the hospital?
Either way, she's not really in the best of positions to sort herself out, is she?
Oh, no, but I meant like the mother's probably... If the grandmother's got it as well. I mean, maybe she did try, and that's why she ended up going to the hospital.
But again, I don't know. Also, no, because it was a car accident, so, you know, an ambulance would have picked them up or whatever.
I suppose, yeah.
So, yeah, you can make the argument that she didn't have a chance to sort her out before, but...
I ain't being funny. Like, as the grandmother, even at the hospital, like maybe she doesn't want people to know she got powers, but you just go, right, I've got fucking powers and I can probably heal her. Everyone just stand back. Like,
yeah,
it's a kid, isn't it? Like,
yeah, you'd risk exposure to save the leg.
Exactly.
But then, like, she somehow just knows about this, and then like she can try and heal Kingpin's heart and then his mind, which again, it's done just so quickly, like in a barn, just like, you're healed, and I can control my friends. Can you? Like, when was that established that was a part of this? That there was also like, you know, oh, it's not like it's, oh, you know, there's a balance that comes with this. You know, you can heal, but you can control, but you know, you could go the other way. You could go too hard the wrong way, and you could, you know, corrupt people, you know, or, you know, you just get into the habit of telling people to do whatever the fuck you want them to. Or does it only work on people within her bloodline? Because obviously her cousin, she can make her kick shit out of someone as well. But it's not as if she was controlling one person, like, as them. She was making 2 people fight 2 other people separately at the same time that she was fighting someone.
Without any prior training.
But no prior explanation that this was a possibility. She just decided that was a thing. And again, that's fine. But then you need another episode afterwards explaining, well, what the fuck happened there? How could I do that?
How did that happen?
Yeah, which presumably is going to be some sort of second season thing. But there's...
I don't know if it'll get picked up, to be honest. But looking at the wiki for the character Echo...
Yes.
Her abilities... expert martial artist and hand-to-hand combatant, highly skilled acrobat and athlete, photographic reflexes, and that's it. But
photographic reflexes, like fucking Taskmaster.
Potentially like Taskmaster, yeah. But as the Phoenix Force, she has telepathy, flight, superhuman strength, speed, durability, and cosmic fire generation. So
that's
at some
sweet.
point, she becomes the Phoenix Force.
But is this supposed to be a precursor to that, maybe?
Nah, because Phoenix Force is from space. It's not like things sent down from generation to generation. It chooses someone to become the host, which is predominantly Jean Grey for the most part. But,
yeah, of course. I don't understand how the most fantastical part of this is the part that had zero explanation.
Well, I think it takes away, and I honestly think after looking into the character a bit more, that they've gone. I mean, it's kind of like Lady Daredevil, and we need something to separate.
Out from that.
Yeah, and arguably, I think it's the weakest part of the show, and I much preferred focusing on because she's deaf in real life. The actress is, and I saw a nice quote of where basically Hawkeye was her first ever role, and then off that she got her own TV show on Disney Plus, and she was like dead, as you would be, like over the fucking moon.
Yeah, of course you would. Yeah,
but I feel that they've by going down this route of this weird like because I can't remember what the century was like when the tribe.
They said it was like 1200.
See, it was a real long time ago.
Yeah.
And by under explaining things and kind of leaving you to kind of piece it together through the show, and then she all of a sudden gets these powers and she can do like fantastical things with them. I think that takes away from the character that she's developed from the Hawkeye show and everything that we saw in Echo. It's like, well, you don't really need any of the other stuff now because you got these powers.
Yeah, you can just magically heal everyone.
Yeah,
and you fix their soul or something. Yeah,
because like, what would happen if Fisk hadn't broke free and she just made him a nice person?
Yeah,
it's just like I didn't like it, and it was that I'm all for obviously women empowerment and everything, but it was just that. Do you know what I mean with the like that ending shot where it's like all of the generations of the women who have got this power and that, but they hadn't earned it in any way.
But it's not as if it was like. Have you ever seen Sense8, like the Netflix?
Yeah, well, I've not watched it, but I know what it is.
Sure. So as part of that, there's a group of people, like eight people, I think it is, which again explains the title. But they all have like, they're linked to each other. This group.
Yeah,
so,
I did watch it. I tell a lie. Carry on though.
Yeah, but like, one's a criminal, one's a martial artist, one's a hacker, one's a whatever, and you know, the more they kind of start to understand what they are and how they can kind of communicate with each other, they can borrow each other's body. So they can go, right, this kid, he's about to get the shit kicked out of him, but the martial artist, she can take over his body across the world, and like she can fight them all off, like through this sort of like remote control, remote viewing thing. But that whole show is explaining how that relationship works, and it's all of them exploring what does this mean, how does it work, and you know, it's kind of quite well told. And yet in this, it's just sort of like, yeah, we've seen like, again, it was sort of like a flash. Oh, she shot a bird. Still don't know why, but you know, she shot a bird out of a tree. She was like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt it.
You're not shot it with a catapult.
Sure. But then, you know, the mum heals it, but then she's not like, oh, I need to teach you how to use this, how to control this. You know, you can make the world a better place, whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's just sort of like, it's, you can, but that was like healing a physical injury, like the bird had its back broken or its wings damaged or whatever.
Yeah.
And she physically heals it and then off it flies. That's fine. In the same way, Ray touches a snake, the snake gets healed. Okay, the Force has healed it, and she's like a conduit, whatever. Makes sense. From a visual point of view, it's a heal power.
Yeah.
And then she uses that in a different way, and then has the ability to control other people at the same time. And it's things like that where I'm just like, where did that come from? Like, have I got to go back and rewatch this to see if this has been alluded to? Or this could be me. There could be someone who could sit and listen to this and go, no, it's because of this and this and this, and this is how it works.
There is a glimmer of it when she goes to the grandma and they're in the sat talking, shouting at each other in sign language. But and her gran says that obviously your mum was a healer, insinuating there's other variations of the power. But she doesn't go, your mum was a healer and the other ones can do this, and
the other one can
another
turn
one
invisible.
can do it. It was just she's a healer, and I took that as there are other powers, but that could be just because of the way that it was phrased on the screen, where you go like we talk about Gotham Knights, and you'll go, Batgirl's basically Batman, and she's got the same kind of powers and stuff. Red Hood is a tank. Robin is more your stealth, like where they've got a specific role within that group. But again, that's specifically stated. In this, it's just your mum was a healer. So it could have just been, that's the only power.
But then we've seen in What If, the new season of What If, there's only one episode of that I liked. But it's they're focusing on a character called Kokori, I think it is, which is like a Native American who, again, many years ago, has these abilities and could stave off, sort of colonizers by, having these incredible speed and strength powers. And when Echo first started, and it showed these sort of people from myth, I was like, holy shit, is that like what happened in What If? Is that some kind of build up to what this is going to be? Like, is this some sort of tie-in? Because if they said, oh, it's one of these ancestors of yours, is that woman? Like, so, she had speed and strength, but, your mom had healing powers, but you've got, some sort of like soul control, and you can use that to, kind of take over people's bodies of your own bloodline or something.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, they're kind of tying this back into a wider thing. A What If, which would be odd, but it would be a cool callback. But that alone, that seems to have boxed out everything else that was kind of interesting or good about it. Like, it wasn't anywhere near as violent as I thought it was going to be. Like, when...
Not considering every single episode gave you that disclaimer.
Yeah, which is just sort of like, I think there was again, the first episode kind of like really got me in the mood for this, and I was like, oh, this looks fucking sick. Like when they, she's going in with those guys and they're like, oh, fuck you, I'm going to babysit you. And like, they knock on the door and the guy just pulls out that gun and just shoots that guy through the neck. And it's like blood sprays up all the wall. And I was like, okay, cool. Then they're sticking to this. Like, this is going to be like a Daredevil, people getting their heads smashed in and whatever. Then there's like a pretty good fight scene where they all kind of like, they're all battering, they're shooting each other in that club thing. And then Daredevil busts in, and then after that, like, there isn't anything that's as exciting as that happens again, frankly.
Not really. I mean, I suppose the only scene that would come close, and it doesn't come close, but it's in the roller rink, like when the breaker goes out and she's got to MacGyver away out, and then she's taking them out one by one. But
I don't get that. Again, like, we've seen the granddad. He's sort of like,
where did she get the laser from?
Well, she's got like a laser, and like she's using like ball bearings to like throw them out. It's like, sorry, you built this in like 30 seconds, like. Unless you've got that exact stack of junk and you've done this before, you cannot just bodge that together without, again, showing that she, So why would you show the granddad being this, like, sweet, kick-ass engineer who's building shit out of any old thing? Surely, if she can MacGyver something like that, she should be the one who's putting these legs together.
Well, that's
and, like,
the
having,
thing.
like, a multi-function room that's just got...
what the grandpa should have done. He should have just gone, do you fuck yourself?
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you're better at this than I am.
But that's fine if we had at least a bit of an episode where we see her and the grandpa when she's younger, and he's showing her how to build things and how to put things together, and it gives you some indication that she knows
she's
what
a bit
she's
handy
doing.
with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, because I ain't being funny. You could put Tony Stark in that room, he still might not be able to make anything.
No, there's a lot of, let's just say this works, and
There's
also she's like, they've got these like criminals that are coming to collect her, and they zip tie her to fucking like a workout bench thing.
Yeah.
They throw a foot back at her, and like I like the fact that when she got the foot, there was like a knife in the boot, and I was like, that's cool. But why, if you've got this woman that's supposed to be worth like your promotion within the organisation or a huge amount of money that you think that you can ransom her off for, idiot, you deserve to get shot in the fucking face. Why would you not sit in the same room as her?
Exactly.
Why would you not just be sat there with a gun and just be like, all we got to do is wait an hour and they'll be here?
It wasn't even that. They were there but
let's just say within the continuity of that night, let's say.
Well, that's a trope of most TV shows and movies where
it was like 40 years ago. It's like
they still do it now.
Lock them in a room and just leave them to their own devices. Why would you do that? Put their feet in concrete and wait until the bad guys come to pick them up.
There's a line in one of the later seasons of Archer with the broker who they've got to go and collect and bring back to the agency, but like all like different criminal gangs are after him as well. And Lana puts a tracker on him, and Archer's like, we need to go after him. And she's like, nah, I put a tracker on him. And he's like, yeah, we are like notoriously bad for losing people. and that's the same kind of thing where the story won't progress. If they sat there with her and then they came and then they collected her and they got paid, that it's not that big of a payoff. But it's just that. And the thing that got me the most is she's tinkering away building this fucking gun, making God knows how much noise, but she hasn't got anything set up to see. No, so like having a mirror or something?
No, there was a bit of glass that was above the door so she could see what the other woman was doing on the other side.
No, but when she's building stuff together, she's not underneath that. That's the other side of the thingy, that is. She's got back to it.
That kind of goes back to the, if she's knocked over a whole bunch of golf balls or something like that and hadn't realised, and they're all just stood behind her. But if they're trying to say that she's got like an almost unnatural sense for like, she doesn't need to be able to hear what's behind her, but she can
loads of times.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But that's the thing, though. Like they make a point of just like, Daredevil's blind, but his reflexes are so fast. Like he it's almost like a sixth sense that he knows that there's someone there. He knows that there's something coming at him or whatever. And if they wanted to sort of build up on the fantastical side of things, rather than make her a magic soul healer, I'd rather that she'd be as competent as he is.
Yeah.
Even though she shouldn't be able to beat him in a fight. And yes, I'm quite glad that she stood her own. And again, that's the Kingpin was like, yeah, no one else has lasted that long against him, so that's real good. Like, that's her first outing, whilst he's presumably been doing this quite a bit. So, yeah, she should have been beaten by him. She should have been beaten by Ronin. But there's...
Why did she get rid of the eye thing as well?
I kind of like that to a degree.
That seems a really handy thing to have, though, where anyone who's talking, she can see the sign language for it.
No, it only works for him.
Oh, is it just for Fisk?
Yeah, because as she was signing, it was translating into his ear. So it's like it was a communication between them. But I very much like the fact that she was like, you've gone to all this fucking effort to try and talk to me, but you haven't learned to sign. It's like, that's how little you care. You haven't put the effort in. You've designed something or had someone build something super expensive and elaborate so we can talk to each other, but you haven't learnt the way that I talk.
Yeah.
You don't care. You
don't understand.
You are manipulating. And part of me thinks that this whole fucking series, like 95% of it should have just been silence.
I'd have preferred it.
When she revs that motorbike and it goes flying through that window into that police car and it's all silent, I'm just like, this looks great because you can tell, like, you know what sounds it's making.
Yeah.
And like, when there's people that are talking, like when they're looking away from her and talking, she can't lip read that. So she doesn't know what's being said and you don't know what's being said.
Yeah. I mean, there's an episode of... have you watched Only Murders in the Building?
No, this Steve Martin thing. No,
yeah, it's real good. Well worth watching. Really, really good. But I can't remember if it's the first or second season. There's a deaf character in that. And for the entire... There's no talking in the episode because it's all based, like, focus with him. And then there's bits of talking. So you'll have like Steve Martin will pop in, and they're talking, and then as it gets away, it gets quieter and quieter and quieter.
Right.
And essentially just simulating that sound bit. But when they turn around, it's just silence because he can't see what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then once they've gone, it's just silence. And it's such a good... Because it's quite a funny show anyway. It's got comedy aspects to it. It's about murders and stuff, so it's some tonal
as funny
change.
as murder can be, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, it's such a strong episode. It's so good. Like, even if you just watch that episode, it's well worth it. But it's done really, really well. And then, obviously, when he's not in the room, there's sound and stuff as normal. It's very well done. It's very, very clever. Completely... No, it's not irrelevant, but something that I saw when I was doing a little research. She was saying in an interview, like, she was really happy because when they were doing Hawkeye... Jeremy Renner and I can't remember the girl's name.
Haley Steinfeld or something.
Yeah, they both learnt sign language so they could talk to her and stuff like in between filming and stuff. And I was like, that's real fucking nice.
Yeah, but then it just like I feel like it would have been a bit more impactful if if you got like two goons talking to each other.
Yeah.
Sure, just have that voiced. Yeah, no worries. But like you say, like when she's present, if you want to live through her eyes, then yeah, I think it would be more impactful if because then things are going flip round, bullets are flying from everywhere, and you don't really know where everything's coming from. But she's been able to react to it. Maybe
we do that. Maybe we go back and watch it with just subtitles on and it muted.
Maybe they'll re-release it and say this is the way that it should have been made or something. I don't know, because they did Werewolf at Night and then they came back and did Werewolf at Night in colour.
Werewolf in Day.
Yeah, so maybe they'd go back. But honestly, it depends on how people feel about it. Like if they go, no, that's that's all we needed in terms of representation. We don't need to affect the kind of all of the audio throughout the show. But I feel like she doesn't feel like a big enough threat to replace Kingpin.
Nah.
Like she seems competent, she seems capable, but Daredevil took her out fairly quickly. Well, Ronin took her out fairly quickly.
I mean, they're both bad examples. I mean, they're both like top of the game people to go against in terms of your more grounded characters, at least.
But Kingpin, he stood his fucking own against him.
Yeah. I mean, Kingpin's in this is weird because obviously he's not that in the comics and stuff. Like he hold his own against Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like can lift like 3,000 ton or something ridiculous. But obviously Daredevil's not that strong. He's just very talented and skilled. But Ronin is, especially when Hawkeye's Ronin, he's not holding back.
No, he's a fucking murderous bastard.
Yeah. So in order to not get killed, I mean, he also, I think he knew that she was being taken advantage of and stuff anyway. So they probably wouldn't have killed her if he could help it. But again, like Ronin and Daredevil, like she's going to struggle against them. But like you say, at the same time, Daredevil didn't just go, well, that's fist handled. Like we had like 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
But just speaking of grounded though, I was interested in this Marvel Spotlight that kept popping up at the beginning of each episode.
Oh yeah.
And what it actually is, Dan, is Marvel Studios basically, they announced this Marvel Spotlight for select shows that just focus on like more like grounded and character-driven stories, but they don't impact the larger MCU narrative.
Okay.
Makes sense. This would have been the first one, and I think the next one's like Wonder Man or something.
Really, Wonder Man? That's a hell of a step up from this. Jeez.
But how now it's gone into like the more mystical side of things. Is it really grounded? Like Daredevil's pretty grounded.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like it's other than he's got sort of like insane hearing, like echolocation abilities.
But that was all from that happened because of an accident and stuff, and like
yeah, but that's also not possible. Like you can't be blinded and then be able to see through hearing.
Well, Dan,
that well, that is fantastical.
I've got some acid vats all lined up, and we're going to test this out and see.
You go first, and then I'll definitely go afterwards. Yeah,
but this is totally grounded all the way through until the end.
That does kind of come out of nowhere,
and it changes the dynamic of the show completely, especially like not just the kind of like vessel type powers where she's empowering other people, but she's also gone into Fisk's mind and everything else. It's just like,
but is she still supposed to be a bad guy at this point?
For this whole thing, she's not been a bad guy.
But she's supposed to be. She's going around killing people. She's trying to create her own empire or take over his empire, or oust him.
I think it was more of the obviously she wants to be the new kingpin and everything else, but it seemed I took it, and I could be wrong on this, but I took it in the same way that Boba Fett wanted to take over the criminal underworld, where by being nice. And
give your money to everyone and they'll respect you. Yeah. And
in looking at the brief little bit of research that I did, a lot of the stuff they seem to have lifted direct from the comics, like especially a lot of the stuff with Fisk. But there is something in here that I had copy and pasted. But basically, she gets sent on a quest to calm her soul, which could be kind of connected to the tribes and stuff.
Sure.
But while she's on that quest, she meets and makes friends with Wolverine, who helps her like calm herself and everything else. But then he passes.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely known for his meditative states, isn't he? Yeah.
But he hands over like all the like Japanese like organized crime and stuff, and then she fucks off to do whatever. Then I think it's something to do with like going back to do ballet or something like that. But she also becomes the Ronin.
Oh, cool.
So loads of stuff they could have done, and considering we had Ronin in Hawkeye, I think that would have been a good thing where at the end of this, she takes up the mantle of Ronin, and instead of taking down Fisk's empire, she's going to take Fisk down.
Yeah.
But, nah. We're just got lights in hands.
We got Fisk on his way back to New York after she's decided that she's going to stay where she is, and there's a mayoral campaign that's running, and I've never heard a fucking news news channel that's just been like, oh my god, well this mayoral election, it's bloody anyone's game. Anyone, literally anyone watching this, anyone at all could just step on in and become the mayor. And it's
we need a bare knuckle brawler. They probably haven't even thrown their hat in the ring yet, but there's still time.
Yeah, someone who's probably not got a history in politics at all. Literally, the first person that turns up on our doorstep and says, I want to be the mayor, that's probably going to be the mayor, but we don't know who that's going to be. And it was so fucking on the nose. Like, you could have just had him just sat in the jet, and that's just on, and he's just watching. I mean, you could have just had that as a throwaway thing anyway. Like, you didn't need to make that like your post-credits, oh my god. Like, because you could have just had him on his airplane, she doesn't turn up, and then that comes up. Not even, again, not that strong, but just sort of like,
that was the thing there, wasn't it? Like, he was already on the plane. So when it cuts away and cuts back, he's just still on the plane.
He's still there, yeah.
It's just like, great.
But again, like if you'd had your post-credits of, Renner, well, maybe not Jeremy Renner now, because he's still a bit busted, I think, isn't he, after his...
No, he's back up and walking again. He went and did something before Christmas.
Yeah, I think he's been doing his own show. There was like renovations, I think it was.
Yeah.
Building thing, but I don't know if you'd necessarily get him back doing flips and stuff in this. I suppose you wouldn't need him to, but...
No.
If you had him just sort of turn up and just be like, look, I know you kind of after Fisk, and you're going for this soul-seeking thing, which is exactly what I did. After I lost my family, and this is how I this is how I handled it, and then gives her the Ronin suit.
Exactly.
But then it's just sort of like, well, then why the fuck did my grandma make me this suit, which I'm immediately going to replace with Hawkeye's?
Because it's cooler. The
Yeah,
Ronin suit's way cooler.
It is. Like, it's... I mean, although it's nice to have, like, a suit that's not fucking nanotech or made of smoke or some shit.
It is, but again, that's what the Ronin suit's none of that. It's just a well-made suit.
I know, but it was also never really going to be in the Avengers much than, oh, there he is, he's murdering people, and he's out of the suit now. And it was all dark anyway. It didn't need to be, hero quality.
No, but, like, all they got to do is, like, give that throwaway thing where she could take on the mantle of Ronin, and then the next season, she's incorporated both the suit that her grandma's made and the Ronin suit.
Oh, yeah, like a hooded...
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. But then if you're, again though, if you're going to be a criminal, if you're going to be a kingpin, why would your ability be healing people? Surely you'd want exploding fireballs that you can shoot out your face.
This is what I mean though. Like I didn't
so
take it away.
is there supposed to be a turn in here where she's like, oh, I don't want to be a criminal anymore. I want to be a good guy. I want to be a support Avenger. Like I want to go in and heal the Avengers when they get fucked up or whatever.
Well, from what I gathered, it was a case of Hawkeye basically going to Captain America and going like, she'd make a pretty good Avenger, and then they've gone, nah, she's a fucking murderer. Like, she can't join the Avengers. So I don't know if she does ever join at some point, but I did remember seeing something along those lines. But again, not once during this show did I think, oh, she's a pretty good villain. She's just someone that kills people, but all the people she's killing are all bad guys. It's no different to fucking Bucky or even Daredevil, who's killed his fair few people. I'm not going to say the Punisher because that's his thing.
That's his job.
Yeah. But yeah, I found this to be in the same vein as Boba Fett, where he's taken over the criminal underworld, but he's going to do it in his own way, which happened to be doing nothing. But like, I never thought that she was going to take over Fisk's empire and be
I didn't get the sense
in and out
of her
and murdering and everything else.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense of her being a threat, like an actual real threat.
Nah.
But then I also didn't really get the sense of her being a really good person either. Like she's gone, oh, I've murdered these people, I should probably not do that anymore, or kind of go back on her wicked ways. She kind of just maintained the whole way through.
Yeah, but again, like the people she killed were all bad people. And
yeah, it's not like she was performing a hit and then shot a kid by mistake or something.
It just seemed to be that she will continue to murder people that she needs to murder, and if they shoot her, she'll shoot them. But if they went right to take over from Fisk, you got to kill this kid. I can't see her doing it.
No. I've had a look, Callum. And season 1 of Echoes, as it stands, on Rotten Tomatoes, which obviously is not the be all and end all, but it's it's a reasonable kind of guide. 72% critic score, tomato meter, 65% audience score.
I'd lean more to that 65.
I'd say there's a sort of a mid-ish kind of point between the two where I think I'd be. I don't know if I'd go back and watch it again. If anything, it kind of makes me appreciate, like, oh, Hawkeye was actually really good, wasn't it?
Hawkeye was fantastic.
Like, I'd go back and watch that, but considering What If finished and Echo came out within the space of a few weeks of it, this shit's all over What If. Like, by a long stretch.
But I also appreciate that they're very different shows, and
but that's the thing. I'm not saying that this is a better story than everything in What If. I just mean that there wasn't anything about What If other than Kokori in that episode. There's nothing out. There's not a single thing that I enjoyed about that fucking series.
Happy Hogan turned into a Purple Hulk?
No. I didn't like any of it. Like to the whole premise of a show that is, oh, what if this mad thing happened? What if the sun exploded? They don't do anything with it. They just keep on focusing on the same bland things.
We've said it before. They need to just ignore the MCU people. Because within What If, they can use any Marvel character. They don't have to be in the movies. They don't have to be in the shows. They can pick any fucker they want. Because it doesn't matter. And they don't. They just go, here's the person from this film that you've watched. Here's the person from this film you've watched. Here's the person from an upcoming film that you're going to watch. It's like... Just do some what ifs, because none of these are what ifs. What if Gamora was a character? Yes, she was. Not in an interesting story. Here's Howard the Duck again, underused. And the only one I liked was I didn't like the episode, but I liked the idea. Was the Gamora? Not Gamora. Oh my Christ, Nebula. Like the Blade Runner-y style. She's hunting. Like a bounty hunter or something, wasn't it? Like she did the. Yeah, she joined the Nova Corps.
Nova Corps, yeah.
And like the aesthetics of it, and like the kind of like almost like film noir narration she was doing. I was like, she's a cool character to use for this, but they didn't do it justice, and it ruined the rest of it for me. But I did like that premise. They just didn't execute it properly.
I think the first season was much better at what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? What if this person did this instead? What if this... But then, like, with this season, it's like, what if Peter Quill was delivered to Ego, and then he just... he goes back to Earth, and then you've still got Captain Carter, and then you've got Doctor Strange again.
What if Disney made Brightburn?
But then didn't execute it.
That's what I mean.
They didn't pull the trigger. They still went, oh no, he's all right, actually.
He's just come back to Earth. Just leave him be a bit. What a waste.
Like, make each episode bonkers and make them totally separate. Don't have them keep on tying back into each other where they keep on getting the same team back. I don't care about that fucking team.
It's not What If.
I don't care.
The beauty of What If is you can do whatever you want because, like we say, it doesn't matter. And the beauty of animation is you're not tied to the restraints of budget.
Yeah.
You can go as batshit crazy as you fucking want. And it's like they're scared to do it, and it's like they're scared that people will forget. Oh, we've mixed up the Avengers a little bit. we don't want to do it too much.
When Thanos got the Infinity Gauntlet and all the stones, he turned everyone 2D instead.
Yeah. Well, again, in the first season, Vision cut Thanos in half.
Perfect.
Like,
what if someone who was competent, who wasn't a big drama queen and trying to make a big theatrical performance, what if someone competent got their hands on that kind of power and it's like, haha, I'm here to challenge you, dead.
Yeah. That's the shit that we want to see.
Yeah, and that was great. And, oh man, I was so disappointed with this second season. I was seriously so fucking disappointed.
It didn't help.
With it.
I've been watching Star Trek Prodigy, and that's a much better animated show.
And that's specifically made for children.
Yeah.
Like, that's a shame, that is.
But I still wouldn't go, this is a better show, because it's vastly different. But I would compare this to Hawkeye, which Hawkeye is far superior.
Yes.
And Daredevil, which is far superior.
Yep.
Which like, I would lean more towards that 65%, but looking at the two shows that it's most closely like related and linked to, it would drop it down to like 45, 50.
But this doesn't feel like a complete season though. Like, if this is just supposed to be almost like a one shot in one sense of just saying, like, we'll take a punt on a few random characters that people won't necessarily know about, but we'll see if we can, make some interesting stories about it. We'll see what people react to. We'll see what they sort of, they're drawn to. And, maybe we'll give them a second season, or maybe we'll try and work them into the bigger universe as a whole, some point down the line. This feels like this was a mid-season break. Yeah. And then it's going to come back, and then it's going to explain what the fuck's going on with all the magic shit.
When you look at the other one-shots they've done, with like WandaVision, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, like, there's such strong... Because they stand on their own. Like, I'd welcome another season of I know Werewolf by Night was more of a movie, but I would welcome another entry into either one of those.
Yeah.
But you don't need it. It finished where it needed to finish. The good, strong, properties on their own. Whereas this, like say, it seemed like season 5 was your break, and then in like a month or 2 months' time, we're going to get another 5, and we're not.
I'd even be, dare I say it, if I knew that there was another 5 that were coming out, I'd probably be more interested in seeing those 5 after seeing these, because then I'd be like, what the fuck's going to happen now? Is Kingpin going to go back and try for mayor? Like, what impact's that going to have on the wider universe?
Yeah.
Like, is she going to go back to? Are we going to see more of New York? Because it's all still in these 5 different locations in some bum town somewhere. You know, what's this development of these abilities going to be? Is she going to get picked up on a Doctor Strange radar and just be like, "Who are you? Like, what's all this shit that's going on now?
Give me your magic hands."
Yeah, like I want to see the development that comes from it. But as it stands at the moment, I've been brought to the edge, and then that's it.
Yeah, then lightly pushed back.
Yeah, I don't really like. I don't really like being in that kind of position where that's how I feel at the end of it. I'm just sort of like, oh man,
it's like Luster.
I wanted, like, I know I've been sort of going on about it, which is kind of what we do on these anyway, but, you know, there's definitely a lot I do enjoy about this and I like about it. I think she's great for a start. I think Vinny D'Onofrio, when's he not crushed it? Like, he doesn't feel like he's got as much to do here. He's mainly just sort of stand there and just talk at someone for a bit.
It's also not the Kingpin show. It's the Echo show.
Which again, that's fine. That's all that sort of stuff needs to take a step back. That's okay.
I think in terms of like, because he never, with the exception of the end, of like the back end of episode 5, throughout the rest of the show, it's just him trying to show her that he does care. He hasn't gone around it the right way, but he does. He still loves her like a daughter and stuff. And from what I'm reading, that's pretty much what happened in the miniseries. But even that, he just absolutely fucking nails it. Like in that bit, tell you what did annoy me, when it does the flashback and she's trying to get an ice cream.
Oh yeah,
and the guy's just like speak, like use your words, and then she gets upset and runs back to the car, and it's just like, oh, in a minute, Uncle needs to go deal with something, and then goes back as that guy, and then she comes over, gives him a kick, and then walk off. They don't get an ice cream though. Like, they just go back to the car. They don't get an ice cream. Like,
yeah, I don't think it was about ice cream. If I'm honest, I don't think that's what that scene was about. It wasn't about someone getting the triumphant ice cream. It was about her going, "Yeah, fuck him."
But
fuck
that's
him,
what she wanted. But even that, when he's just sat in the car watching, and his breathing's getting like heavier and heavier, and it just takes you back to that scene in, assuming people have watched it, obviously, but in Daredevil when he gets out of the car and then he just crushes that guy's head with the car door.
Yeah,
and he just comes out of fucking nowhere. But I think he is excellent. I genuinely think he is. But I saw a thing before I watched Echo, annoyingly, thanks IGN, but where it's, no, I don't think it was IGN this time. But
it's like a reflex, isn't it? Something gets spoiled. IGN,
if something's been spoiled, it's typically IGN, so it's just like a knee-jerk reaction now. But essentially saying that Echo is building Kingpin to be the next Thanos. How?
No. In the same sense of he's got a daughter that doesn't really like him or trust him, is trying to kill him. Then, yeah, in that sense, it's very similar. He brings her dinner. Also, very ungrateful. He brought a little picnic away, and she just pours that wine down the sink. And I was like, this is the Kingpin. You're going to poison you. He'll strangle you to death at your own seat. That's how he'll kill you. You won't poison your wine. That's a waste of good wine.
I did like that line, though, when he's like, he gets the cookies out. He's like, they're still your favourite. And he's just like, well, let's hope they don't go the same way as the wine. He's a funny guy.
You know, when it was sort of in like one of the newer flashbacks when, you know, they're sort of having one of their Sunday dinners.
Yeah.
And then he's like, right, I want you to be like my right hand now. That I want you to be absolutely top of the table. No secrets between us.
Yeah.
Or we're above everyone at this point. And like excuses the translator, and the translator walks down a corridor, and then there's clearly plastic all over the end of that corridor. And I was like, love, what did you think was going to happen? You just go down a corridor where presumably
far too much.
There was no plastic before, and you walk down there with a guy behind you escorting you out. Of course you're going to get shot in the head. Of course you are, you maniac. But I love the fact that it's just like, look, she's the only other person who knows the secrets that we've been talking about. Yeah. Put her out of her misery. Brilliant. Love that. And that to me that's again that's him speaking to his power. It's like again in Daredevil in season 2 or 3 or whenever it is, that he's like pretty much in prison the whole season. Like he's still very much running the show.
Yeah.
And he's he's got a nice dinner in prison, and he can summon the Punisher to him because he's got that kind of control over all the guards or whatever. Like that that's representative of a kingpin with power.
Yeah.
But against even what's he going to do against Scarlet Witch? What's he going to do against Vision or Ant-Man?
This is the first thing I said, because I was with Zoe when it popped up on my phone, and I was just like, I love Kingpin, and I think he's an excellent Kingpin, but Kingpin's your villain for Daredevil, for Punisher.
You're unpowered.
For Electra, yeah, and your lower level. Even Spider-Man, I would class in that category, like typical friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But Thanos, level like threat. We've got Captain Marvel.
Yeah. What could he possibly... What is he going to do? Threaten her finances or whatever? Absolutely not. She's flying into the sun. There's no,
that would be a great wife.
And she wouldn't even feel bad about it. She would just fly. He'd be like, oh yeah, well, like, I can turn all your friends against you. She'd be like, oh, fuck off, and just punch his face off.
I ain't got any friends.
Like, yeah, they're all dead, man. Or in space. Like, what are you going to do against space bad guys? Like, just throw him to the Ravagers and let them eat him. But I think he'd have to be a bigger threat. So, like, from what you're saying, the spotlight, if this is like this, this is going to be targeting you much lower level. They can't deal with the end of the world or the end of the universe, but they can protect their particular neighborhoods or friends or family or whatever, or they're skilled or their abilities are fine but not great. Yeah. Like if you had him as the Thanos for that Spotlight universe, so you've got Echo, who she's already got a very intimate relationship with him. But then if you had, like we've got the new Daredevil series, if there's a new Punisher. Maybe maybe not Blade, because again he would just shoot him. But these sort of like they're not, the Avengers aren't going to be calling them up for a hand. But they could certainly fill some of the gap. Like it's like, well, we're off to do space stuff. You just keep an eye on everything for us.
Exactly.
Like that team, he could be a great threat for that, or he could just be instead of, again, it doesn't need to be brute force and Infinity Stones or whatever. He's just very good at being a bad guy and just sort of playing the markets, and he can manipulate and he can get his own way through being very smart about it, not about being the biggest, toughest, strongest or whatever. So, he could wangle away into, like, in the same way that like Vulture did in Homecoming, whereas, they managed to build their criminal empire from a bunch of alien tech that they nicked, basically, because they were stiffed on a construction job. Like, that's great. That's a great little way of getting into, like, and I could see him doing something like that, where he manages to get a hold of vibranium or something like that from the black market, and he uses it to leverage against people, and he's blackmailing people, and he'll just fucking murder them if they become too much of a problem.
But that's a good thing that they did do with Echo, where obviously within Daredevil and that, Kingpin's empire is predominantly in Hell's Kitchen, but we can see in Echo that it branches far, like, further than Hell's Kitchen, and we're in Tomahawk, Oklahoma. So that's kind of like setting the seed for Kingpin's just all over. He owns fucking everything, and that's where it's going to interlink your different, because obviously when she meets Daredevil, that's I assume in New York or like Hell's Kitchen, whatever. But I think that's a really good shout for rather than him being the new Thanos, he's just the big bad for these grounded shows that are going to be coming up on this under this Marvel Spotlight umbrella.
So like a threat for them, but not enough of a threat for any of the Avengers to kind of come in and just slap him down immediately.
Because with the exception of Hawkeye, who's obviously had a run-in with him, but he's still like your lesser powered Avenger, so we'll say. But again, I could see someone like Falcon's Captain America would probably have a run-in with him.
Because he was trashing black neighborhoods or something like that, or
could be anything like that.
Yeah.
And because he hasn't got the same powers that traditional Captain America's got. All he's got is his wings and his shield
and willpower.
and willpower. Obviously, Bucky would stand a much better chance against him.
It's not even on his radar.
No, but it wouldn't need to. Like, the only reason he would be there was because Sam said we need to go here, and he's got, fuck's sake. Fine.
It's like, hey, can you do me a favour? This guy's really annoying everyone in New York. Can you just go and just shoot him in the face? Yeah, sure. Give me 20 minutes, I'll be back.
But that's the kind of person we needed for this, though. Like, can you imagine if Bucky had, like, Winter Soldier had gone after Fisk, and he was about to get him, and then Echo pops up, and they have a standoff. I mean, all in all, I think Winter Soldier would come out better, but there's a lot of good characters where you could have that. Like we had this cameo with Daredevil. You could do that with a lot of the MCU characters, where not Captain Marvel, obviously, but we've got Sam and stuff like characters like that. I think would be easy to like sideline in. Just to connect them up a bit,
or at least just someone wearing that particular costume.
Yeah, I mean, he could literally just fly overhead. Like, don't even need to see him. But in that same vein of the Netflix shows, where it's just like it references the battle at New York. Nothing specific is really said, and they'll talk about a guy with a hammer and whatnot. And now it's connected. Job done.
Yeah.
They also did the same with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but nobody talks about that. But yeah, I say I literally finished it, and then as soon as the credits finished, and I made sure there wasn't any other little teasers, I put Daredevil on.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is way better.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more Daredevil. But I'm just hoping that they go, let's just keep it more like the Netflix show rather than what our version of this has kind of tried to be with Echo, where it's, it's gritty and violent. No, it's not. Like, compared to shit that's on TV and streamed these days, this is barely tame. You'd show your kids this. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there's only like a handful of scenes that I'd probably just go, lads, close your eyes for 3 seconds, Logan. But not many. Whereas something like Reacher, I wouldn't let him watch Reacher.
No, there's people getting blown apart.
But that's what this should have been. Fucking hell, can you imagine Reacher going after Kingpin?
To be fair, I don't think there's many people that could stand up to him. Like, he's an absolute fucking mountain.
I think Captain Marvel would struggle.
Yeah, she'd do that headbutt on him and just be like, ow, what the fuck?
It's such a good. I'm so happy you're watching Reach.
Yeah, I do need to get back into it, which is probably what I'm going to go and do right now. I've got some food ready to go, so I'm going to eat that, and I might watch a bit of Reacher. But Callum, we can leave it there because there's not really much else we can say. Final thoughts. I thought it was fine. It felt like it ended earlier than it should have done for a reasonably satisfying conclusion. No real problems with anything in it other than just a few plot holes that don't really make any sense, but I'm hoping that at least it's expanded on to some degree at some point in the future. What do you think?
I echo your statements.
Do you?
For the most part, like, you can take out all the fantastical stuff, mainly because they don't really build to anything. They don't develop the story anymore. They just leave more questions than anything else, and not the good kind of question where we'll sit and speculate. It's more, well, what the fuck does that mean? And I don't like any, not specific to this, I don't like any show or movie that leaves me with that feeling, because it means you haven't done a good job as a writer. And I think you could have taken a lot of that out and built on other aspects of it. I don't think they utilised the issues that she faces as a deaf person, both in real life and in the show. I think they could have focused on that more and have it be more impactful. But I say, I sound really negative. It was fine. I watched them all, and I wasn't like clock stopping at any point. It was just okay. And that's disappointing more than anything else, because I had quite high hopes for it. Because again, in Hawkeye, she was a really good character in Hawkeye, and I think her as an actress, I think she did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is not the end of the road for her. I genuinely hope that she gets, not even just like a B character, I'm hoping that she gets another season, or like a buddy up thing with Daredevil. Like, presumably she's going to be in Daredevil.
She's got to be.
Right? Yeah.
She could be another Thor, where, with the exception of Ragnarok, like the first Thor film, I really don't like the first Thor film. And then they did the Avengers, and he was really good, and they figured him out. Excellent. And then Dark World came out, and I was like, motherfucker. I love Ragnarok, and Ragnarok's fantastic, but it's not a Thor film. It's still an ensemble film. There's a lot of supporting characters that play big roles in it. And maybe Echo's one of those, where she was really good in Hawkeye, let down by her own show for this, but then she'll be really good in Daredevil. And again, that's not. I think she was excellent. She's not like the worst part of this show. She's definitely one of the highlights. But it's just, again, just let down by a poor show. In the same vein, Ben Affleck was a great Batman, let down by awful films. But yeah, I'd still give it. It's well worth a watch. If you haven't watched it, you probably shouldn't listen to this. But it's worth a watch, just to get. Just to stay rooted in this Marvel universe, but you're not missing anything story-wise up to now if you don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just sticking to the films and that continuity, this doesn't add or subtract anything from that. This could have been a what if.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Well, they forgot to add it at the start.
Nah, it's available now. It's streaming on Disney Plus, all 5 episodes. And then, as with what happened with me, as soon as you finish, it'll come up and say you might like the Daredevil. Give that a watch.
Yep.
I am. And you can go to the website, which is podcastwhosplay.com. There's other spoiler casts that we've done. Most recent one being Loki Season 2.
Yeah.
There is, I believe there's an episode for every single one except the last 2 where we did them together.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast reviews, let's plays, game shows, lots and lots and lots of stuff. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye!